I think I want to become London's first dance tutor. And the reason why that makes me different, and this type of work different to what we currently perceive as dance teachers, is if they're going to use the same terminologies in academia, as in teacher, student, class, school, then they can carry on using that terminology. But if I recognize that as being more strict rules, as in, okay, so a teacher has to be qualified, they have to be certified, they have to have gone through a particular program that gives them the right and the qualification in order to then teach students. And usually in such cases, you need to do some kind of fundamental course on teaching in the first place. Never mind the subject that you're teaching. So just by the label teacher alone, I'm recognizing, well, okay, that doesn't apply. For the greater dancer scene, especially in London, I don't know about anywhere else, but here, that rule doesn't really apply anymore. It used to be very closed off with a select few group of teachers, so I don't know what their abilities were like back then. Maybe they did play it by the book and they did things properly and carefully. But today that's not the case. And so student, okay, I think student can be more of a truthful term, but when you look at it really, it's like, no, not really. Because students in a class in school, they know their level because they're assigned their level. They know what classes they're going to because they're assigned those classes. You only advance at the end of the year when you pass a certain grade and your teacher says, yes, you're able to go up the next year. It's not taken for granted. That's assigned to you. So you don't just automatically go up, elevate up. But by the end of a year, an academic, year, that's the process, because it's a machine, it's a system, and they make it so that, okay, there's a high reasonable probability that the vast majority of the students in any class will graduate and they'll go up a class. So they try to do that as a machine, as an institution. So that does not apply to the dance scene then, because we don't do that. People instead freely just slot themselves into any class level that they want, and it's not regulated and it's not instilled. So yeah, we've kind of gone wayward with that as well, and I think the ownership falls squarely on the teachers, because there's no governing body, there's no overarching school. All of these teachers fly their own banners. They are their own service provider. They're not owned by anyone. Some might work for other existing organizations or schools, but they're more like freelance teachers in that regard, right? But they might be hired by the organizers long term. And so there's no official academic body, right, in the dance scene. There's no regulatory system, there's no committee, there's no one running the show or directing the course of the overall service within any community. So there's no real school. There might be different schools created by an individual teacher or a group of teachers, right? But then the more you look at these terms, the more you realize, we're just rogues. We're just all mavericks and doing our own thing, and we can't. That means that these teachers, in air quotes, are able to open up their own schools. So when you look at it that way, it's kind of truthful. It's non-biased, I don't have an agenda or anything. I just start to scrutinize things with using selected words. And if you're going to use words like in academia, then you can assume that it's the same thing. But when you scrutinize it word for word, it's not the same. So, hence, I looked into, okay, well, what are the different terms for a teacher-like role? So I looked up in the thesaurus, and it's like teacher or tutor or what's another one? Mentor. These are different types of role, and I guess it depends sometimes on experience and like a professional qualification. So I was like, what's the difference between teacher and tutor? And it seemed like tutor ticked all the boxes in terms of what I feel I would be if I was to enter into this space to commercialize my value towards the dance scene in the forms of education, right? Tutelage and being a tutor seemed way more accurate rather than teacher and student in class and stuff in school. Because at the beginning, I don't want to be part of any of these established organizations, except for maybe Latin Soul, possibly even Tito's, but no, I want to do my own thing. I think my value is going to be throttled and, if not stolen, if shared freely under another banner. Because I don't feel like people share the same vision that I do. They don't share the same observations as I do. So, yeah, I need to just do this myself. Because it's one of my babies and I want to take good care of it. So I want to direct the focus and the tactics and everything. So then that leads me to be in this position where I'm like, well, okay, then I'll become a dance tutor and I'll be very clear about that term, and if anyone wants my 2 takes on it, then they can listen to this clip. So then, if I'm a dance tutor, that would make me the first dance tutor, because I don't think anyone else has used that label. So, yeah, I can use that as a trope. Not that it means much, but it's just something unique. And it gets people asking questions like, well, what's the difference then? Okay, well, yeah, let me tell you my observations. And they're controversial because they're stepping on other people's toes, right? And bruising egos. But, you know, when you get over that bruised ego kind of knee-jerk reaction and you look at it objectively, then you realize, like, I don't see the lies. I see truths. And so, yeah, dance tutor it is. And on that, I've got so many different notes that I need to just start exploring with voice notes as well. Because I've been just staying on ClickUp, putting down my notes, my thoughts, just bullet pointing them loosely. But I need to start now giving that proper full-time effort, and with the aim to launch within a month. So I want to launch in winter. I want to launch, as it's too cold to dance outside, and I'm offering a service to meet more of a demand for indoor education. So I'm going to start as a kind of soul tutor, teaching concepts that are applicable for both roles, and I'll focus on
Seat 10 to Victoria Station.
I'll offer workshops and privates at first, and I need to document both because then I'll use those to work up some digital marketing content using multimedia, and that would take them into Patreon, where I'll have scalable and specialized virtual video training. So phase 1 is in person and in the scene doing workshops and privates, and then phase 2 is in the background creating digital media, so then building the packages on Patreon.